Welcome back to Celebrate Truth. I'm Robbie Davidson, and we've got a good one for you today. It's the National. That's right, Friday, March 31st, 2017. We got more flat Earth in the news. Let's get into this one because this one's a doozy. Oh, look at that nice little picture, NASA's picture of the Earth as we've all seen. Anyone has done a study on this, start doing a Google search for pictures of Earth from space. And when you find that nice NASA image, click on it, and you will see that NASA admits it's a rendering, a composite, CGI, cartoon, Fantasyland. But they show this picture at the beginning of every article to do with this topic. And I find it hilarious. It's like, no, let's not put science into it. Let's not show the formula to calculate the curvature of the Earth, or the 500 experiments that were done to prove the movement of the Earth. No, let's just show a picture of the NASA blue marble, and people, yeah, we'll go from there. But let's get into the article, shall we? Was Ferdinand Magellan flat out wrong about flat Earth? There can be few basketball fans who would dispute the proposition that Kyrie Irving, a point guard with the Cleveland Cavaliers, is a genius on the court. That, at any rate, was the theme of an article in The Undefeated this week, in which Irving's peers lined up to laud his talents. His biggest asset, as Atlanta Hawks forward Paul Millsap put it, is his creativity. Perhaps. But having a basketball mind is not the same as possessing real world perspective, it seems. Last month, Irving made headlines when he demonstrated another sort of creativity, revealing that he believed that the earth was not round, like a basketball, but flat, like a pancake. This is not even a conspiracy, he said during the podcast for a sports channel. The earth is flat. It's right in front of our faces. They lie to us. The four-time NBA All-Star revelation cast light on his contribution in the Undefeated article in which he created he credited his skills of a ton of practice, but also having an imagination that is sometimes out of my world. Indeed, but the extraordinary thing about Irving's denial of reality is that he is far from being alone. Other celebrities, including the rapper B.O.B., has more than 2 million Twitter followers, and former MySpace reality star Tila Tequila have also recently emerged as flat earthers. Well, tequila was way back in time. This is new. There's been lots of news since then, but I love how they continually go back to rapper B.O.B. and Tila Tequila. The spherical nature of the Earth has been beyond dispute since Spanish explorer Juan Sebastian Elcano completed his first known circumnavigation of the globe in 1522, an expedition initially led by Portugal's Fernando Magellan without falling off any edge. First of all, there is no edge, but let's get back to that later. Within 6 years, Nicolaud Copernicus. Hey, National guys, I think you got a typo or you put in his name wrong. I think it's Nicholas Copernicus, not Nicolaud. But anyways, we'll let that one pass because hey, we're the idiots, right? As you will say, what was it? Oh, that's right. As we read below, we're going to find out that he's asking this writer if we're mentally challenged or we're mentally not very well. So maybe you need the help. But anyways, let's continue on. And yet, as a troll of the internet and social media sites reveals, Irving is part of a growing army convinced they are lying to us about the shape of the planet, and as a consequence, that everything we think we know about space, the stars, and gravity is a lie. There's nothing new about the flat Earth theory, but now, thanks to social media, it's far more easily spread than it once was. The Twittersphere, or perhaps that should be Twitter plain, is home to a bewildering array of accounts. From Flat Earth Truth, the biggest lie ever created, learn the truth why the Earth is actually flat, to Flat Earth Today, the official feed of the Flat Earth Society. Yep, got to bring the Flat Earth Society in there, of course. One of the theories earliest advocates was Samuel Rowbotham, an Englishman who in 1849 published a pseudo-scientific pamphlet titled Earth, Not a Globe. Well, anyone that has actually read that book, I have actually read it. It's nothing at all pseudoscientific about it. It actually applies a lot of the scientific method, which most of scientism now have basically discarded. They've basically tossed any type of true science aside for theories, conjecture, and theoretics. Let's continue. In Rowbotham's view, the world was a flat disk. bordered by an ice wall, Antarctica, the model that persists among his modern day counterparts, many of whom claim NASA's real role is to stop the curious falling off the edge. Robotham at least had the excuse that he lived in a time before human beings were able to soar in aircraft, let alone spaceships, and see the curvature of the Earth for themselves. So, right here, they're already basically saying in aircraft alone, we can see the curvature, which has completely been debunked completely. But again, I think this is where people say, "Oh, I see the curve out my plane window." Really? Grab that picture, put a ruler on it, show me the curve. There's none to be found. There's a video on my channel. You can see it talking about flying with no fisheye lens, and you will see at 30, 35,000 feet, it is flat. But anyways, let's continue on. So English science writer Samuel Shenton, who founded the International Flat Earth Society in 1956, or California aircraft mechanic Charles K. Johnson, who took over the society upon its founder's death in 1972. Hey, that's when I was born. Johnson and his followers believe that not a word of modern astronomy is true, and he declared in a 1978 edition of Flat Earth News. In 1980, he told Science Digest that people with common sense don't believe idiotic things such as the Earth spinning around the sun. Reasonable, intelligent people have always recognized that the Earth is flat. Today, his reasonable intelligence successor claims to be able to counter all the so-called evidence that the Earth is a globe. The inescapable observation that a departing ship disappears over the horizon, optical illusion, the moon landing in 1969, faked in a studio, photographs of a clearly round Earth taken by astronauts, also faked. Like the moon landings, the curvature of the Earth seen through the window of a high-flying aircraft. Oh, I love how they throw in the aircraft twice. Are you kidding me, guys? Like, seriously, you might have had something going into the moon landing, but we'll deal with that in a second. Actually, let's deal with that right now. The moon landing. Love how they're linking all this stuff in here, and they're actually talking, obviously, about the ships disappearing over the horizon. Over and over and over again, we get the ships disappearing over the horizon. All right. So let's pull up all the scientific experiments that were done to prove this conclusively using science. No, wait a minute. I'm having a hard time here. I'm looking it up. I can't find it. Wow. No scientists have ever actually done an empirical scientific experiment to prove this theory about why ships go over the horizon. It's because you can't see them anymore. Lines of perspective. Grab your cell phone, zoom in when that ship disappears, and look at that. There's the ship again. Not going over any curvature unless the technology today is actually curved technology where we're zooming in curved places, which, that's ridiculous. And you're calling us ridiculous? Well, interesting that you throw these into it. So, of course, they're bringing in airplanes and they're bringing in the ships go over the horizon. Other than that, they've got their beloved NASA. Who would ever doubt NASA? NASA would never lie to us, would they? The moon landings, they were true. I saw them on TV. Actually, I heard them land on the radio, more like it. Most people actually heard it on the radio, not saw it on TV. But let's continue on. What exactly have they got to gain by lying to us about the shape of the planet? There's a lot of mumbling out there and the usual suspects, Freemasonry, New World Order, and many others, but no real motive is offered. NASA is controlled by the Illuminati elite, suggests one flat earther online, to keep you believing that you live on a sphere, to make you believe you are all small and insignificant in the greater universe. Interesting how they just grab like just anonymous flat earthers online, don't really interview anyone. Again, the national, if you really wanted to get to the bottom of it and you're going to call us names and you're going to bring up ridiculous theories, why don't you actually have someone that you can ask the questions to that, but again, you don't want to because you just want to discredit this. It's so frustrating. But it would be easy to dismiss the whole flat earth movement as a dumb joke. As Craig Foster, a professor of psychology at the U.S. Air Force Academy, wrote in the Denver Post this month, people might comfort themselves by concluding that Irving is crazy or stupid. Again, I went through this on a previous video talking about how people might comfort themselves. So this psychologist is actually talking about, why and how to comfort yourself when this comes your way is, well, just dismiss it by calling it crazy or stupid. Don't really put any real science or any objection, that is going to help you think and do better in life. No, no, no. Just call people names because this article helps you to continue to call people names because watch what happens. But his belief in the flat earth was another pseudoscientific development in a society that encourages this type of thinking. People and politicians frequently undermine science and science journalism by arguing that these groups are plagued with self-interest and deception. Yep. When Irving was subsequently asked by a sports broadcaster, ESPN, whether he had seen photos of the planet taken from space, he replied, I've seen a lot of things that my education system said was real that turned out to be completely fake. The result of such thinking is widespread, dangerous, and ill-informed skepticism about everything from climate change to vaccinations. And as I explained to you before, in Scientism Exposed 2, my documentary film coming out in November, I am actually touching on these two. And I was going to be doing this anyways before all of these articles started coming out. And I noticed it's so interesting how they link all of this stuff in on all these articles talking about how dangerous it is and ill-reformed and hey, this is true science. Climate change, there's no debate. It's proven. This is a reality. Pay your carbon tax. We don't want to destroy the Mother Earth, Gaia worship. And again, we can get into the spiritual nature behind it. And we definitely will in Scientism Exposed too. But I just thought I would address the fact that I find it interesting that so many articles are bringing these two in every time climate change and vaccinations. More on that later. Post truth, post Donald Trump. That's an interesting one. Post-truth, post-Donald Trump. It seems that anything, no matter how transparently preposterous, is possible. So, again, denying climate change, denying the fact that there could possibly be a link between vaccinations and autism, which, I mean, there is growing number of pediatricians, doctors, people with PhDs, doctorates that are coming forward and saying, look, we're warning against the dangers of this. There's multiple people in true science circles that are coming out warning about the fact that we're not going through climate change as far as man-made. So again, who do you trust? It's kind of like, three out of four scientists agree. Well, what about the one, that didn't agree? Let's talk to that person, but you never see it. They just say, hey, look, 97% of scientists agree that we are affecting massive problems and we all have to pay a carbon tax. Or they say that the planet will blow up and polar ice caps will melt and people will die. And one sec, we got a word from NASA. This just in, NASA is now reporting an asteroid is going to hit the Earth in 5 years' time. Yes, that's right. Unless we send a rocket out and destroy this asteroid, well, we will all die. Again, nothing but fear, nonsense. How many times have they predicted the end of the world as far as meteorites? I mean, heck, isn't that the story how dinosaurs ended up going extinct? Wasn't it a meteorite blocked out the sun? Isn't this the story we've all heard? Yeah, that's real science. We went back 25 million years ago and we conducted an experiment. We found out that it was a meteorite that hit the Earth. Again, scientism versus science. What are you for? Hey, I'm for science. Science is good. Scientism, however, is nonsense. It needs to be debunked. And more, with more articles like this coming out, is getting more people interested in looking into this further. And again, if 1 out of 100 start looking into this, again, there will be real change. And change needs to occur because the scientific community have been held up as pinnacles, as icons, as our seers, as our all knowing, wise counsel for all things from, how do we conduct our affairs to social events to, getting into political issues. All of this stuff is so ingrained in the scientism community. So again, I look at it like scientism is one of the biggest religions in the world. People will say, "Oh, the Roman Catholics," or they'll say, whatever, Islam is growing. I'd say scientism is the biggest religion of the world because it affects everyone's worldview, and it's something that honestly we're exposing the world's lies here, and it's one of the biggest in my opinion, because again, it masquerades itself in truth, fact, and reality when it's nothing more than a deceptive belief system that really has very, very, very sinister origins. And I've gone into those in other videos, but let's continue on. At the heart of flat earthism lies the stock and trade of the social media age conspiracy theorizing. Take this offering from the Instagram account Sorry, take this offering from the Instagram account. Flat Earth T-shirt Co. All right, one for Flat Earth T-shirt Co. You're making the news. In the wake of Irving's revelation, Irving says the Earth is flat. His comments go viral. 5 days later, NASA conveniently discovers 7 new planets. It's the government's attempt at damage control. They don't want people talking about the flat Earth. Are these people simply mentally unwell? Oh, uh-oh, Flat Earth T-shirt Co. just got told that he was might be mentally unwell. Well, it was a question. Are these people simply mentally unwell? Well, that's the question. Do you feel well? Do you feel mentally stimulated? Do you actually feel intellectual? I mean, when it comes down to actually looking into this, we are using our mind. We are applying the scientific method, but of course, they call us the ones that are mentally ill. So again, can we actually read an article where they're not calling us names, questioning our intelligence? Sadly, no. There's a range of personality and social factors. Oh, okay, this should be good. Let's find out. Paranoia and mistrust to education and political orientation. Oh, they've just linked it right up, haven't they? They have been linked to conspiracy beliefs, says Karen Douglas, professor at social psychology at the University of Kent in southern England. All right, Karen, you've linked us. You've just got us. You got us. We're either paranoid freaks, we mistrust everything, to education and political orientation. Well, I don't know if you've done very well, but anyways, it's your first little attempt. We'll give you maybe a little pass on that one. I wouldn't say it's a form of madness necessarily. Oh, thank you, Karen, because most people subscribe to at least some kind of conspiracy theory. Oh, Karen would love to know what conspiracy you arrive at. Maybe it's JFK. Hey, how about 9/11? Hey, maybe there's hope for you, Karen. Maybe we should talk. On the other hand, she notes, belief in a flat earth is very interesting belief to hold in the face of so much evidence to the contrary. Like what? NASA pictures? Where's the evidence? Show me the evidence. Is it a consensus? Is it because the majority of people, have been brainwashed and believe this, and therefore we shouldn't question it? What if? What if, Karen? Hey, Karen, we should talk. Reach out to me. Let's find out what conspiracy you actually believe in, because as you said, almost everyone subscribe to at least one conspiracy theory. I'd like to know yours. I'd like to know everyone's actually. Hey, that's an interesting thing. Hey, if you're coming to this video and you think flat Earth is nuts, or you think geocentrism is crazy, or you think, anyone disputing evolution or the Big Bang are nuts. Hey, I'd like to know what you look at as far as what we might think is a little crazy, other than the fact that you hold on to a spinning ball flying through space. But anyways, that's fine because everyone's got their beliefs and everyone can kind of do their own homework and research. But beliefs in grand plots, says Daniel Jolie. Wow, they're getting a lot of psychologists and a lot of people here into this article, but yet nobody from Flat Earth that is credible that can actually, defend or answer these questions and maybe determine, for psychologists to determine if someone's crazy or mad, they would have to actually sit down with them and spend a bit of time with them. But is this article spending time with anyone? No. What they're doing is they're spending time with NASA, with their blue marbles, and with their psychologists. But let's continue on. This serves as a practical function for the psyche of modern human beings. We want to feel in control of ourselves and our beliefs, and in essence, our of the world around us. We want to feel certain. So when, for example, a plane goes missing, we feel out of control and uncertain, and the conspiracy theory gives us an answer. It makes us feel more in control and more certain about our uncertain world. Not everyone, of course, turns to fantasy to make sense of our complex world. But while there is there is no one profile for the typical conspiracy theorist, says Dr. Jolie. A poor standard of education, which causes a dearth of critical thinking, is often a common denominator. Oh, so we have a poor standard of education. Hear that, everyone? Tweet this one. Look at this. Underline that. You could tweet it. You can Facebook it. Apparently, we have a most likely a poor standard of education. Interesting. Which causes a dearth of critical thinking. So we're not really even critical thinking. Interesting. Hey everyone, what do you truly think critical thinking is? Is it questioning things? Is it applying the scientific method to things? Or just believing what we've been taught? I'd say we're one of the biggest critical thinkers out there. These people find a theory on a website, he says. They read about it, but don't think about the pros and the cons. They are critical of the evidence. We need to teach children in schools that the top hit on Google isn't necessarily going to offer the most accurate information. Oh, I see. Well, I guess we just need to go to the library. People seeking validation for their worldview fall easy prey to what psychologists call a confirmation bias. The tendency to interp- interpret all the evidence only in a way that supports their outlook. Oh, I see. So we're yeah. I mean, all of us we're wanting to be laughed at, ridiculed, and made fun of, and called idiots. And yeah, I mean, every one of us wakes up in the morning and goes, you know what? I'm cool. I'm with the cool kids, and I want to believe in something where I'm going to get bullied and picked on and called names and rejected and booted out of my church and all sorts of things. Hey, yeah, I think I'm just going to do that for the fun of it and because I'm a moron. Seriously, think this thing through a little bit more than putting something so incredibly silly than putting something like that. Like we actually are going to actually purposely do this. Whoa, when a conspiracy theory becomes part of your belief system, then you look for things that make sense of that belief and you disregard everything else. All right. I understand that we can also get into confirmation bias. Sometimes we can look at everything through, a certain tinted glass. But then again, when you're looking at it, looking at the world through NASA and through scientism, hey, that's also confirmation bias. So again, all of us need to apply reasoning. We need to look at things for ourselves. And we need to weigh out the pros and cons because it's not just about the cons being completely ridiculed and ostracized in today's culture and society. Again, sometimes people need to go against the grain. Hey, I know someone that really went against the system. His name was Jesus. He went through the entire money lending system. He stood up to religious wrongdoings when people had puffed themselves up and had done stuff to abuse the system. He was a rebel. He was one that basically went against the system. And hey, we're doing it as well. Truth is important. And again, standing for the truth is an incredibly proper cause. And it's something that's very, very important. But again, let's finish off this article. When a conspiracy theory, we already read that. In 1994, a poll from the Washington Post found that almost 1 in 10 Americans believe that the 1969 Apollo 11 moon landing was faked. A hoax that the Flat Earth Society Johnson insisted that had been exposed in the 1978 film Capricorn 1. Capricorn 1. There it is right there. Guys, if you haven't seen this, great, great movie. Watch it, get your head around it, see how it possibly could happen. Something that I recommend, take a peek at. It's good. But again, they mentioned it in the article, so pulled it up. And again, one person that's in there that they're going to talk about is one of the stars in that film was the American football player O.J. Simpson, who by 1994 was facing trial for the murder of his former wife, Nicole Brown. They were finally going after O.J. Johnson because he helped unmask the space hoax. What more evidence could one possibly need? All right, so I guess they were going after O.J. Simpson because he was in Capricorn 1 because he was trying to expose the space hoax. Are you kidding me? So, Johnson, that's kind of silly, going, with that type of idea. But again, what should we expect from the Flat Earth Society? Johnson also believes that we're moving upwards at crazy speeds through the universe in time and space. Johnson, space does not exist. The space hoax is something that people definitely should look into. And I'm talking about space, the way that they have taught us, the mainstream view of space, NASA's, fabrication, what they tell us in infinite space. You know how we hear infinite space all the time? Well, there's only one that's infinite, and that's God. To give creation or give any type of created order an infinite, time itself is even finite. Understand that we are in an enclosed system where even time has been put in that system where it's finite. Nothing is infinite. So the idea that even creation is infinite has to be wrong. Understand that there's only one that's infinite. Correct. John 14:6. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Understand that the true creator is Jesus himself. I know it sounds crazy, but the reality is the Bible teaches Jesus existed. He is part of the Godhead. He is God. He came in the flesh. He is the true creator, and he is infinite. Everything else is finite. So when you keep hearing infinite space or any type of infinite, understand that infinity can only be attributed to one God himself. Nothing in the created order could be infinite. It doesn't even make any sense to create something equal to yourself. But again, that's for another video. We can get into that to start to understand, true infinity, what that really means. But I just thought it was interesting how they conclude this article talking about O.J. Simpson. He was on the run and they tried to get him because he tried to unmask the space hoax. Are we mentally unwell? Sorry, are we mentally unwell, as the national suggests or questions? Are the psychologists scratching their head? Are they going to take the time to actually talk to us and find out if we actually need some of their pharmaceutical medicines? Hey, let's go into more scientism. Let's go into the pharmaceutical industry. Yeah, that's the answer. Yeah, it's already been proven that this is good for us. Maybe we need medication. Maybe that's what's coming next, is they'll use scientism against us. Maybe they'll try to force us to take medication because they will deem us as, people that are unwell. I thought that was interesting. Be careful because, like I said, these words that are coming out, again, it's the beginning stages. I've seen this before, even in, as Christianity is attacked around the world. It's the most persecuted religion in the world. Look it up yourself and see. Ask yourself the question: why is that happening? Why will they come against anyone that are preaching the truth? And again, in North America, they like to come through the legal system. They like to come through scientism. They like to come through all of these different things, one by one, breaking it down. Hey, you don't want to be a science denier, do you? That's dangerous thinking. Don't be a science terrorist. How dare you? What if all of a sudden there's a tragic, a false flag, something happens where all of a sudden someone in the scientism community is attacked, injured, their life is attempted, something like this. Again, we have to be careful of these type of things, and I'm just warning about them because the language is getting dire in the sense that they're looking at it and saying we might be mentally unfit. We might be mentally unwell. Therefore, with a lot of the terrorists, all these false flags that they've propagated and put people up, they're always under the mental institution bracket. Hey, if we only got this person help, how did he slip through the cracks? It was all about mental instability. And again, more and more, we're seeing science denial. We're seeing names being called. We're saying that we're not very intellectual. We're not, we really didn't get much education. Interesting. But anyways, we've got a lot of educated people. We got a lot of people thinking in this, and it's great. And so many people, it's so encouraging to see so many people coming alongside, exposing the world's lies, keep celebrating the truth. God bless. Take care. A composite, CGI, cartoon, Fantasyland, but they show this picture at the beginning of every article to do with this topic. And I find it hilarious. It's like, no, let's not put science into it. Let's not show the formula to calculate the curvature of the Earth, or the 500 experiments that were done to prove the movement of the Earth. No, let's just show a picture of the NASA blue marble, and people, yeah, we'll go from there. But let's get into the article, shall we? Was Ferdinand Magellan flat out wrong about flat Earth? There can be few basketball fans flat like a pancake. This is not even a conspiracy, he said during the podcast for a sports channel. The Earth is flat. It's right in front of our faces. They lie to us. The four-time NBA All-Star revelation cast light on his contribution in the undefeated article in which he created he credited his skills of a ton of practice, but also having an imagination that is sometimes out of my world. Indeed, but the extraordinary thing about Irving's denial of reality is that he is far from being alone. Other celebrities, including the rapper B.O.B., has more than 2 million Twitter followers, and former MySpace reality star Tila Tequila have also recently emerged as flat earthers. Well, Tequila was way back in time. This is new. There's been lots of news since then, but I love how they continually go back to rapper B.O.B. and Tila Tequila. The spherical nature of the Earth has been beyond dispute since Spanish explorer Juan Sebastian Elcano completed his first known circumnavigation of the globe in 1522, an expedition initially led by Portugal's Fernando Magellan without falling off any edge. First of all, there is no edge, but let's get back to that later. Within 6 years, Nicolaud Copernicus, a national guy who would dispute the proposition that Kyrie Irving, a point guard with the Cleveland Cavaliers, is a genius on the court. That, at any rate, was the theme of an article in the Undefeated this week, in which Irving's peers lined up to laud his talents. His biggest asset, as Atlanta Hawks forward Paul Millsap put it, is his creativity. Perhaps. But having a basketball mind is not the same as possessing real world perspective, it seems. Last month, Irving made headlines when he demonstrated another sort of creativity, revealing that he believed that the earth was not round, like a basketball, but Welcome back to Celebrate Truth. I'm Robbie Davidson, and we've got a good one for you today. It's the National. That's right, Friday, March 31st, 2017. We got more flat Earth in the news. Let's get into this one because this one's a doozy. Oh, look at that nice little picture, NASA's picture of the Earth as we've all seen. Anyone has done a study on this, start doing a Google search for pictures of Earth from space. And when you find that nice NASA image, click on it, and you will see that NASA admits it's a rendering.